Hey folks, it's Paul here from ImpulsiveCulinarian.com, and in this video I'm going to tell you the secret to the most incredible dairy-free and gluten-free pizza crust recipe. Oh gluten, how dare you be so delicious? You know, it's hard enough for people giving up gluten and dairy in their diet and adapting an allergen-free lifestyle. It's like learning how to eat all over again and learning how to cook. But harder still is giving up on those restaurants, that Italian pasta place or the pizza joint down the street that you've grown up loving their stuff because it's just so delicious. So what I want to talk to you about today is my very own dairy-free and gluten-free pizza crust recipe that's been years in the making. It comes as close as possible to being a memorable meal experience, something that it's not just, it's okay because, you know, it doesn't have the stuff that I can't eat in it. It's actually quite good. And then when you top it with your favorite toppings, well, it's almost like coming home again. So here's what you need. Okay, let's split the ingredients out into three parts. Part one, the yeast mixture. For this, you're going to need 4 teaspoons of instant yeast, a tablespoon of sugar, that could be golden cane sugar, any kind of white refined sugar if you can tolerate it, and 1 cup of warm water. Now in part two, the wet ingredients, you're going to need 1/3 cup of olive oil, 1/4 cup of dairy-free milk, whether that's coconut milk or almond milk, whatever you prefer, and 1/8 cup of water. Last but not least, the dry ingredients, you're going to need 2/3 cup of corn flour, not corn starch and not corn meal, corn flour. 2/3 cup of white rice flour, 2/3 cup of tapioca flour and tapioca starch, exact same thing, and 1/3 cup of potato starch. Add to that dry ingredient list 3 tablespoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of guar or xanthan gum, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Hey, come stai? Let's make pizza! Come on! First thing you gotta do, get a yeast mixture going. Clean bowl. Get yourself 1 cup of warm water. Should be around 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 40 degrees Celsius. We're lucky in our town, the water's great, so I do this right out of the tap. If you have to boil your water, do so. Let it cool down until it's around 100 degrees. Get yourself 4 teaspoons of traditional active dry yeast. Then add to that 1 tablespoon of sugar. I use organic golden cane sugar, fair trade. If you can tolerate refined white sugar, that's fine. 1 tablespoon. Mix it up until there's no more granules of yeast and all of your sugar has dissolved. Once you get to that stage, you're good. Put it aside in a warm location. So while your yeast mixture is off to the side proofing, get yourself a big mixing bowl, put all your dry ingredients in there, and whisk them together well so they're nice and combined. Okay, there we go. All the dry ingredients whisked together so they're like one ingredient. Now for the wet ingredients, you can put them directly into your dry mixture or you can put them in a separate bowl and mix them together. I like to do it in a separate bowl just in case something happens, the kids need attention, or you get a phone call or something like that. That way it's not congealing together until I'm ready to have everything mixed together. So if you're doing it my way, get a separate bowl and put all the wet ingredients inside. First, 1/3 cup of olive oil. It doesn't have to be good stuff or your best vinaigrette oil. Just a standard extra virgin olive oil will be just fine. Next, you want to add 1/4 cup of unsweetened coconut milk. You can use almond milk, it's fine. Even if it's sweetened, it's not the end of the world. It's only 1/4 cup. So the last wet ingredient may seem a little odd. 1/8 cup of water? What were you thinking, Paul? Well, the fact is, I used to try and make this recipe to be not so liquidy. When I let go of that restriction, of that constraint, it doesn't have to be like original dough. It just needs to work. And so by adding 1/8 cup of water, it makes it just liquidy enough so that it's easier to spread in my pizza pan. So trust me, 1/8 cup of warm water. Oh, there's a gruesome looking wet ingredient mix. But this is what you need. So whisk it together and then get ready to add this to your dry mixture. Okay, so now that all of the 3 parts are set to go, the yeast mixture is proofing, the wet ingredients are mixed, and the dry ingredients are set to go, I want to talk to you a little bit about pizza pans. So when you think of a traditional pizza, you're probably thinking of the great big 12-inch pizza pan, standard issue, medium or large size pizza. The thing about this is that you can do anything that you want. You're in control. I often use a 9-inch cake pan when I want to make a deep dish or thick crust pizza. The other option too is to take your biggest cookie sheet that you've got, you know, the ones that fit only widthwise into the oven, and you can make a great big rectangular pizza. You know, the ones where you see just the tomato sauce on the top with a little bit of herbs. It's great. It works for anything, and you're in charge. So you decide. Today on this video, I'm going to make one of each. I'm going to make a thin crust 12-inch pizza, and I'm going to make a 9-inch thick crust pizza. And so what you need to do is get a piece of parchment paper and cut it exactly the width of this pan. You don't want to have any paper leaning over the edge because we're going to be doing some broiling, okay? Bear with me. So make sure to get your parchment paper the exact same fit as your pan, whether you're using the large one or the deep dish 9-inch. All right, so now that your pans are in order and your ingredients are set to go, there's no preheating of the oven needed yet, and I'll show you why in a second. First, let's get the dry ingredient mixing bowl, and we're going to take the yeast mixture and the wet mixture and put it all inside. Yeast mixture. Wet mixture. Whisk away. So as you'll see, this is a very liquidy mixture, and I'm not halfway done yet, and I still have some dry bits. So I'm going to go at it both hands and make sure that this is nice and smooth. So after some vigorous whisking, that's exactly the consistency that you want. You see that? It's almost like it's a paste. And this is going to be easy to spread around in whatever size pizza pan that I choose. So let's do that. So since this recipe makes 2 pizzas, doesn't matter which size you're using. I could have used 2 thin crust, 2 thick crust, but now I'm doing one of each. So I'm going to pour half of my mixture into one pan, and I'm going to pour the rest into the other. Eyeballing half is just fine. Okay, so I've got half and half split into each of the different pans. You can see in the 9-inch deep dish, it's almost spread all by itself to the edges. So it's going to be really easy to get that finished so that it takes up the whole pan. And on my thin crust pizza, well, I'm going to use my cake spatula just to work it a little bit to spread it out as close as I can to the edges. And so there you have the difference. When this stuff starts to rise, I've got 2 different styles of pizza. All right, let's get to it. So get yourself a cake spatula and spread it around till it gets right to the edges of each pan. And because this stuff is so liquidy, it's really easy to spread. If it wasn't for that 1/8 of a cup of water, and trust me, I've done it, it's a little bit harder and you're fighting it. It's like peanut butter. But that little extra water, it makes it really easy. Harper. The former Prime Minister?
Biker. You said biker?
I don't know what you're talking about. You could have fixed it.
Yeah.
But, you know. Wow, my wife almost made it in a video. What? Okay, so with very little effort, you can see now I've got all my dough spread to the edge of each pan. That's the deep dish, and there's the thin crust. So let's go to the next step. Okay, so now that the pizza dough is in the pans, you gotta let it rise. 20 minutes. Set a timer. Just a note, while you're letting this pizza dough rise, you don't have to worry too much about being super precise and making it all nice and smooth. The fact that the yeast is going to make this dough rise, and with what we're going to do to it next, you're going to see that this is not going to be an issue at all. So while the dough is rising, now's a good time to get some ingredients. Incidentally, if you want a really quick pizza sauce, get yourself a little bit of tomato paste, some fresh herbs, a little bit of oil, and some honey, and add wine until it's just the right consistency to spread on your pizza. Okay, pizza dough has been rising for around 20 minutes. Let's have a look. Okay, so at first glance, these pizza doughs may not look like they've risen very much, but upon closer inspection, you're going to see that the dough has in fact come up quite a bit along the edge of the pan. And they're a lot airier and lighter than they were before. But the problem is, how do you put ingredients on this? This stuff is still wet. You can't spread sauce. Well, I'm going to tell you the trick. You can't spread sauce on a wet dough, nor can you put ingredients. They're just going to sink right in. So the trick is, and the reason why you have not preheated your oven, we're going to broil the dough for 2 minutes. So make sure to get your broiler to full capacity before you start this process. And be sure to use a timer. Anytime I use a broiler, I always set a timer. It's very important. The stupidest things can happen. Phone can ring. Kids are going to get out of control and you're going to forget. And boy, it's no fun when you forget something under the broiler. Okay, so my broiler is ready and good and hot. So I'm going to put these right underneath the broiler and wait exactly 2 minutes using a timer. Now 2 minutes is just about enough time to get a good glass of red wine. Salud! So every oven is different, and if your broiler is a little bit more overpowered than some, you want to watch your pizza crusts while you're doing this, especially the first time that you try the recipe. As soon as you see the pizza crust start to brown, you want to take it out right away. The goal is not to cook it, it's just to shock it and make it ready to receive your sauce and your ingredients. 2 minutes. Take it out. So now that your broiling is done, you want to preheat your oven to 450 degrees. Now, given that it's been broiling for a couple of minutes, the temperature inside the oven is probably already there. So it's okay to go ahead and set it right now. So here we see the true story. These pizza crusts are now ready to receive sauce. Look at that, nice and dry. It's not cooked, but at least it's ready to receive ingredients. This one, the large one, thin crust pizza, had a big dome on it actually, and it only took a few seconds. I couldn't capture it on the video, but it sort of cooled down back into its normal position. But these are ready to go, so let's do it. So there's a little quick homemade sauce with some fresh herbs. Kids are gonna like that. I'm not sure which one they'll go for. We'll figure that out in a second when they come out. Hey, Pizza Creation Station! You guys ready? Decorate some pizza?
Yeah!
All right, let's go. You guys are getting... Yeah, I betcha. All right, so big pizza for you guys right there. Okay, you're gonna split it. Half is one for you, half is one for you. We have a meat and potatoes kind of family, the kids anyhow. So here you go, guys. Put some sausage on there. I'm gonna get that all around, and I'll give you a bunch of cheese. Put it everywhere, okay? Okay, while the kid pizza preparation station is going, we're gonna put the adult ingredients on our deep dish thick pizza. Okay, so how did you guys do?
Good.
Shall we look?
Look at our pizza.
Whoa, pretty good, guys. I'm impressed.
Woohoo!
Not bad. Hey, you want to cook it up?
Yeah!
All right, let's do it. Videos with kids. Challenge! Oh! Since I'm feeding the kids first, I'm going to start with my thin crust pizza by itself in the middle rack for 13 minutes. While you're waiting, do your makeup. It's always a good thing to do. Oh! 13 minutes is up. Let's take it out. Oh, look at that. Beautiful looking pizza. And nice little browning around the edges. A good crust. So let's cut it up. Feed some kids. Who's hungry? Anyone?
Me!
Exactly. So I just want to take a second to show you underneath this pizza crust how it's nice and brown. Look how gorgeous that is. Okay? And so when this pizza cools off just a little bit, it's going to actually hold up on its own. You can serve it as a slice. Oh, it's so fun to use the pizza wheel. Hello, Dr. Pizza. Yeah, so what's the verdict on this pizza? Is it good? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Did I pay you to say that?
No.
No. So the kids approve. There you go. A normal thin crust pizza, like you'd expect. But it has no gluten and has no dairy. So I'm going to cook up the other one. This is a bit thicker, so I'm going to put it in for 15, 16 minutes. I'm going to see how the crust looks at the edge. The more toppings that you have, you also want to cook the toppings as well. So it only makes sense to cook it for a little bit longer. Just keep an eye on it. 450 for, what do you think, guys? 16?
Yeah.
17?
No.
16 minutes it is. So there's 2 minutes left on the cooking time, and my concern is I don't want to overcook and burn my pizza, but the edges don't seem to be browning or burning too much. When a thick crust pizza, it's always good to put it in a bit longer. So I think the kids were right. 16 minutes it is. 16 minutes. Get it out. Ooh, that looks delicious. I think it's good enough to eat. So let's have a look at this thick crust pizza. The bottom is nice and brown, and the middle is beautiful, soft and airy. It's just exactly what you'd hope for in a thick crust pizza. And of course, the toppings, it's up to you. You can put whatever you like on there. Now, I'm telling you, this tastes delicious. I'm not kidding. The kids ate a half a pizza. My wife and I could certainly eat one of these in a night. It's really like a trip back home to pizza heaven. Okay, so there you have it, folks. That's my unconventional, gluten-free, dairy-free pizza crust recipe. And I hope you enjoyed it. Listen, it's a little bit weird the way that it has to come together, but I promise you, you try this recipe and you perfect it, you're going to start making this on a regular basis. Pizza is really an important part of anyone's diet. You got to have a cheat night. You got to have a fun Friday night supper night. It doesn't always have to be healthy stuff. So my name is Paul from ImpulsiveCulinarian.com, and if you like this video, be sure to subscribe. There's a lot more coming. I'm trying to do one a week, maybe more if I can swing it, and I'd love to hear your ideas of what you'd like me to make, because I'd be definitely interested in cooking something that I've never tried before. I'm always up for a challenge. See you in the next video.